Hello and welcome to Pandora FMS. In today's video, we will show you how to configure alerting in Pandora FMS using the Discord platform for notifications. For that, we will start from some fundamental requirements such as having previously created an account in Discord to create webhooks in a chat room, having Python 3 installed on our Pandora FMS server, and optionally having access to Pandora FMS web API configured to incorporate graphics to our alerts. Now that you know what you need for the alerts to reach you through Discord, we are going to see the steps to follow to configure it correctly. We will start by configuring a server in Discord. So first we will open the application. Once we are on the Discord home screen, we can see on the left side a menu with several options. Click on plus, which will give you the possibility of adding a new server very easily. This action will show you a wizard to create the server. In my case, I will select the first option that appears, although we see other possibilities or templates that can be used. For example, study group, friends, or create one for a local community. Once the option is selected, the wizard shows two other alternatives, whether for you and your friends or for a club or community. The latter one is the one that I'm going to choose in my case. The next step will be to assign a name to the server and optionally upload an image to identify it. If not, it will show you some acronyms that refer to the initial letter of each word, as we see in this case. If you take a look at the server we created, you will find two channel sections, one for text and another one for voice. You could use the channels that come by default, but we're going to create a new text channel for our alerts. That way we will see that it is very simple. You just have to click on plus next to the description text channel and you will get a form to fill in. Choose text channel. Assign a name and enable or not the private channel option according to the restrictions you want to give it. After performing these actions, you will have a channel ready to receive Pandora FMS alerts. Now that we have our server and channel configured, enable a webhook for this channel. So go to the gear-shaped icon that is next to the text channel that we created and go to the integration section. Click on Create Webhook and define the name you will have. For those of you who don't know what a webhook is, we can summarize it as an instrument that authorizes a system or application to send notifications about a specific event to another system or application. Continuing with our configuration, we will see that, as in other previous sections, we can also add a profile image, although in our case we will not. Then just save the changes and copy the URL to use it in the connector's execution. With this, you already have the Discord part configured, so now we will focus on Pandora FMS server. First of all, to use Pandora FMS Discord CLI, you must have Python 3 and Py 3 installed for their dependencies. Just execute the command that we see on screen. Once the installation is finished, go to Pandora FMS module library and download the manual available in Spanish and English and the package with the files compressed in a zip. Upload the files found in the .zip to your server, in my case to the path where the server plugins are stored by default in Pandora FMS. /usr/share/pandora_server/util/plugin/. Next, just execute the command seen on screen that will help you download and install the necessary dependencies. Now that you have the dependencies installed, run with Python 3 the file pandora_discord_cli.py followed by -h to see its help. There you can see that the plugin requires two mandatory parameters: the URL of the webhook we obtained in the first steps and the data sent in key value format that will be separated by commas. We're going to carry out a test with the following execution. If it is sent correctly, a message like the one we see in the terminal will appear, and a tip that tells you that if you want to send the graph of this module, you must add the parameters of the Pandora FMS API. We'll ignore that for now. We will see this configuration later. As you can see in the help, apart from the serialized data and the URL, there are several optional parameters, some of them very simple and self-explanatory, such as the author's name, the title, the alert description, or the footer. Others may be less intuitive, such as the configuration of the graph, so we will make a small example of an execution with the most relevant parameters. When unzipping the package, there's a file called test-exec.txt where you will have an example run using all the parameters. The result of this execution will be slightly different. It will contain more information indicating that you have the API configured and that the graph has been generated successfully. But for this to work correctly, first edit the file. So we're going to make some changes to the template it comes with. First of all, we're going to change the content in the line that starts with the parameter -u, and we're going to copy the webhook that we generated from Discord previously. Then in the one that starts with --API_conf, we're going to replace the IP by that of our Pandora FMS server, and we will also change the values of user, pass, and API_pass if they are different. The first two are the ones with which we log into the console, and the third will be verified from the section Setup, General Setup. There you see the field API password, and above it, a box with a list of IPs that have access. In my case, I wrote an asterisk so that it accepts from any source IP. You won't either need to make any more changes, since this is simply a test to verify that it runs correctly and that it is displayed on our Discord channel. If everything's correct when executing, you will see that the following message is shown in the terminal and that the alert is displayed correctly in Discord with its graph and other data and icons. Therefore, now that you have Discord configured and you have successfully carried out the tests from the terminal, it is time to proceed with the settings in Pandora FMS console. The first thing to keep in mind is that the script must be in an accessible path on the machine where you have Pandora FMS server deployed. In our case, and as we saw before, we will place it in /usr/share/pandora_server/util/plugin/. But any location can be used as long as Pandora FMS server has access to that path. Next, we're going to scroll through the menu to the section Alerts Commands. Here we're going to create a new command, for which our user must be an administrator or at least have management permissions on alerts. In the form that appears, first name the command, then add the execution of the script and the parameters to be used using Pandora FMS macros. The group the command will belong to, and a description to clarify what it will be for or what this command refers to. In the file test-exec.txt, there is already a definition of the command with macros as an example, so you may use that one. If you take a look at the command, you will see that we replace the values that we filled out before in the execution from the terminal by a series of variables that refer to the fields below. It will be here where we will define some fixed elements and others using different macros, as we find it easier and more useful. You may also define how to hide the URL for connection to the webhook, so as not to let all users see it, or the API configuration data. With this, the command is configured. Click on Create and go to the section named Actions in the menu. In this case, action configuration will be fast since we filled in all the parameters in the command. But we're going to start with the first sections that appear in the form. As before, add a name to save the action we're handling, the group that will have access to it, and choose the command to be used. In this case, the one we just created. We see that when we selected, the fields below are filled in with information inserted in the command configuration. Here, define and modify the fields corresponding to the fields we established. I have left it as the default configuration in the command, so we can use it with what we have defined, but you can change it at the level of a specific actions if you want to change the data sent for each action. You can also see that the text or fields can be changed both for the trigger and the recovery fields. Once you are done, click on Create and go to the next point. Now the only thing left is creating a template with the terms that we want to be met so that the associated action is executed. The formula to be followed will be the same. Scroll to the side menu and select, in this case, the option Templates and follow the form that appears. Add a name and select a group and go to the next step. Here define when you're going to want the alert to fire, indicating days and time in addition to other fields that will help you indicate how many alerts at most you want to receive in a period of time and how many intervals they have to be in the wrong state for the alert to be triggered. Select the action that you configured a while ago and the term that must be met for the alert to be triggered. With this configured, go to the third and last step, where you just enable or disable the option to receive an alert in case of module recovery and modify any of the fields that we have already configured both in the action and in the command, so that there is usually no need to perform any tasks there. Click on Create and it is time to go to the agent and set the alert in the module you want. In my case, I'm going to define it in the used memory module of the server's own agent. We're going to set a threshold in the module so that it becomes critical and the alert is triggered. And as soon as the agent interval goes by, you will receive the alert on your Discord channel, as we can see. If you have any questions about how to configure alerts or which macros can be used, in the description we'll leave you the links to our wiki so that you can take a look at them. And that was it for today's video. Don't forget it, if you liked the video, smile, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Any suggestion, question or ideas, leave it in the comments below. Remember that if you're interested in trying Pandora FMS Enterprise, you may contact us to get a free 30-day trial. Thank you very much for your time and we hope to see you on social media and in future learning videos.